And we decided to launch this series of talk because we really wanted to bring professionals, inspiring professionals, to come and share with us how they become bold and remarkable, and give us some insight, advices, tips, anything that we need to improve either our situation, either our communication. So for us, it's really important for us to work with individuals, to empower them and to take the action they have to take to design the life and the career they love. So that's the objective of this inspiring talk, and I hope that you will enjoy this conversation today. I'm personally super excited. I had the privilege to meet Dr. Laura Penn a few years ago, and I was really fascinated by her way to transform the communication. And at that time, it was in less than 15 minutes, so it was just amazing. And I really wanted to bring her today and to share some of her advice with you. So maybe a few words about Laura. She's a world-class speaker, coach who transforms leaders and change makers from the world's best known company into remarkable speakers. She's also the founder of the Leadership Speaking School, and she's here today to help us be remarkable in our way of communicating, bringing more authenticity and more impact into the audience. So Laura, if you're here, if you're around, welcome.
I'm around.
Super.
I thought I needed to make an entrance.
Yeah, we love your entrance. So thank you very much for being here today.
It's such a privilege and a treat to have this lunchtime conversation. And welcome to everybody who's joining. We're going to make this time worth your while. You're going to get some real golden nuggets. So get your pens ready, get your papers ready, take notes.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a juicy conversation. And for you guys, really, because I know Laura, so I know what I'm talking about. Please take notes, ask your questions. I mean, because this is a huge opportunity for you guys to be remarkable in your speaking, okay? So it's super great opportunity. Laura, let's talk about leadership speaking and how it takes to speak like a leader, as a leaders. So the first question that I have for you is, what is leadership speaking? I will combine it with the second one. So what is leadership speaking, and how did you decide to focus on it as opposite to just public speaking?
All right. Well, in my journey over a lifetime at this point, but specifically as the founder of this company, I'm 11 years in, and my company has had many permutations. I started by working with people from my original field, which is conservation. And then I called my company Communicating Environment. And then a couple of years later, I called it the professional speech. What did I call it? The professionalspeakercoach.com. Marbles in your mouth, like didn't even come out. And all of this was an evolution of how I was thinking, what I was doing, and who I was working with. And then I became the public speaking school. And that was fun while it lasted. But then I started to notice that I was working with more and more leaders and change makers, people who were making big decisions, people who, when they spoke, big things happened from all sectors, pharmaceutical, environmental, humanitarian. And I thought to myself, public speaking isn't big enough. It doesn't fit the mold of what these people are doing, because for me, public speaking is something older, something with cobwebs on it, something that is disconnected as opposed to connected. So I was playing with some words, Samra, and I thought leadership and speaking, and I put them together and I said them out loud. And I thought, wow, I've got something here. And I've created my own definition for leadership speaking, which is that it is an elevated form of public speaking, where your primary intention as a speaker is to connect with your audiences. So you're using a specific toolbox, a craft that you are learning and honing and fine tuning and polishing. And every interaction you have speaking in front of audiences, you're accessing this toolbox and using the tools that are going to best help you to connect.
Yeah, and this is what I love about you, because this is about bringing more authenticity. And you always say that it's not about you, but it's about the audience.
Yes.
Okay, so it's about having the ability to articulate your communication and your message to touch your audience.
Absolutely.
Stop thinking that it's about you. It's not about you at all. It's about the audience.
That is the red thread, Samra, that goes through the heart and soul of leadership speaking. Like when you get that idea that it's not the me show, it's not about me. My fear, my anxiety, my habits, my luggage. It's not about that story. It's about how am I going to serve this audience? What do they need? And what are their needs and interests? And how can I put myself in service to that? That is what leadership speaking is at the core.
And that's actually take off a lot of weight from our shoulders as well, because if we understand that about us, then okay, no need to feel all this anxiety and the fear. And you know, Kira was there just at the beginning, and he was explaining to us that he became a manager. And we tend to think that because you're a manager, you do have this nature, like skills. But of course, maybe you can attest that it's not always the case, and we need to level up these skills as well.
Nobody's born with a leadership speaking toolbox. Okay, let's get real.
Yeah.
This is a craft. You're not born knowing how to play the piano. You are not born knowing how to ski. You are not born knowing how to make the perfect cupcake. This is something that is artisanal or athletic. You have to put it in your body, and you have to learn it from the inside out. It is not a quick fix scenario of, oh, let me dabble in this tip and technique and call myself a leadership speaker. This is every cell in your body is learning this art, this craft.
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much to all leaders and change makers, etc. If you feel like that you're not really comfortable with that, so it's normal. You're not born with it, as we just explained. It's a tool. It's a skill, so you can definitely improve it and create this tool that will help you to better communicate with your teams and with your audiences. So thank you very much for that. Now the questions, I think it's a good transition, is what are the traits of a good leadership speaking then?
Oh, I love this question. What are the traits of a good leadership speaker? Look, first of all, you have to be awake, right? So I like to use the metaphor. I work in metaphors. I'm a word nerd. I like the metaphor of a seed, right? Yeah. Think of a plant's seed. That seed has a hard casing around it and is deep in the ground. It's not open. It doesn't feel anything in terms of soil or sunlight or water, nothing. It's closed. But some stimulus happens, and then eventually that seed begins to open. And then a little green shoot very, very delicately starts to emerge from that seed casing. And with more sunlight, more nutrients, more water, that grows and grows and grows and grows. So this level of being awake is about, where are you in that metaphorical process? If you're asleep, that seed, and not awake to the fact that this is something that you need to be working on, or that you're not very good at, or that people in your audiences are not thriving as a result of spending time with you. If you're sleeping to that, this is not for you. But something has to have happened. You have to have woken up to the idea that, whoa, something is not right here, and I need to change something. That is one of the biggest traits of effective leadership speakers, because they have to have that awareness. And they have to have that hunger of like, okay, I'm ready to do this work. I don't work with people who are sleeping. I work with people who are in that phase of, I'm opening and I'm looking around and I need help. And that's where I come in and water and pour nutrients all over them.
So you're saying that the main trait of these great leaders is
to be awake.
Self-awareness.
Be awake.
Exactly. Be awake.
There's more, of course.
To understand.
Yeah.
What is the second one?
The second point. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first point. The second point is elasticity. So this is something we get when we do something a lot. I'll take that skiing idea from before, this is Switzerland, so we're celebrating our skiing. As a beginner skier, you don't have it in your body, but you're trying, the basics. You're like, okay, this is the pizza. This is how I stop. This is how I turn, and all that stuff. The more you're doing it, the more elastic you're becoming, because your body has now learned it. So elasticity and the ability to learn something and then play with it and move it around and shift and focus and fall, to use the skiing metaphor, and to get back up again, that is an incredibly important trait as well. So between being awake and elasticity, you already have the first two ingredients. And I'll just add a third one. Do you want a third one?
Absolutely, of course.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Once you have those elements and they're in operation for you, then you need to find speaking opportunities. You need to say yes to every opportunity that you have to talk in front of audiences. I don't care how big or small that audience is. You need to be like, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do it. Grab it, because that's stage time. And this is a skill, like if you're skiing, you need snow and mountains. If you're speaking, you need audiences and opportunity to talk in public. So that's what you need more of, saying yes. And if you don't have opportunities, you make opportunities. You create them from scratch.
That's actually super interesting what you are saying. Maybe if I have to reformulate them, it's first of all self-awareness. So you need to be awake. All right, we understand that. You need to be very clear about your strength and your weaknesses in about this topic. The second is you really want to take an action on it. You really want.
You're hungry.
You're hungry, exactly. You want to change the situation. And the third one, you have to accept to be vulnerable as well and to try. And you're gonna fall and wake up again and fall and try again and again and again and again. So every occasion that you have around you to speak with people, you have to do it.
You grab it and you run.
Yeah, and I love about that. And this is something that we share together, Laura. We really truly believe in the execution, because having the knowledge is definitely not enough. Otherwise, you just go on Google and you find the best book and that's it.
Yeah.
It actually requires execution, right?
Absolutely. I call it embodiment. It sounds a little more fluid than execution. Embodiment, putting it in your body, working it through, feeling it, experiencing it with all your senses.
Okay, so to everybody, I mean, you have to find us a way to practice again and again and again and again. Without practice, you're not going to be good.
Right.
Okay? So
and let's not even call it practice. I mean, there are opportunities to speak.
Yes.
You know, speaking opportunities. Where's the stage? Find the stage, the virtual stage, the living stage, in your living room stage. Find a stage. Get on there and feel uncomfortable and learn how to live with it. And then you eventually make what's uncomfortable comfortable, because you've done it so often and it's in your body. You know how to deal with it.
Absolutely. You have to get out of your comfort zone. And then, but you know, that's really interesting, because I had the privilege to, you know, like work with different leaders, different industries and so on. And that's true. Some of them, they are really good leaders. When they speak, you just need to, you just want to listen carefully, and some others not that much. So I know also that you, I mean, during this for long years now, you had the privilege to coach many professional leaders and change makers. So can you maybe share with us some of the stories, some of losses and wins that you observe?
Yeah, of course. Ooh, which one do I start with? I'll start with the wins.
Yes.
I mean, my favorite people to work with, and I'm very picky. You know, you might want to work with me, but I'll have to see if you're hungry enough. I have to see if you're awake enough. I have to see if you're coachable enough before I say yes. So in the people that I've said yes to, it's just been, first of all, such a privilege to have a front row seat to so many different disciplines, from my politicians to the environmental leaders, to the, you know, all of these fields. It's like a nerd fest for intelligence. Anyway, the wins, Samra, are that yes, I just finished another season or cohort, I'll call it, of Leadership Speaking Core. So that was last week. It's my 5-day, really intensive, hands-on, head-to-toe transformation extravaganza for leaders and change makers. And I had wonderful people in my cohort from different sectors, and they were very hungry to do this work. And the win that I want to share is one of the people in the cohort. She was so nervous, so closed, so blocked, so stuck in her old ways. That was day one. And in all the work that I did over the week, opening her closed doors and windows, helping her body remember what it felt like to be authentic, and helping her celebrate and feel just the bliss of being herself, that opened her up. So by the 5th day, she's like, woo, you know, she's let loose into this world. And that's my favorite work. Now she is hungry to find the opportunities. She's looking for podcasts to be on. She wants to do this. She wants to do that. She's ready to live in this new empowered person that she's become, because she's woken up to her options. She knows the toolbox, and now she's going to go use it. That's a win.
That's amazing, because as you said, that you really see her, I mean, growing. Is it a group coaching, the individual?
So it's a very small cohort. It's maximum 6 people.
All right.
So it's extremely high touch. You know, everybody gets a lot of stage time, and it's just me there. So it becomes very intense, and you're learning from me, you're learning from each other. It's a really beautiful container to be learning in.
Yeah, and it seems that she has all the ingredients. So
Got
anger,
it all.
change, like she's done the work, and then at the
Yep.
end, she's really looking for all this opportunity to speak with people.
Absolutely. Now she's ready to go. And the loss, I tell you what, the loss, funny enough, in the same cohort last week, there was a man in the cohort who was as blocked as everybody is on day one, everybody else. And he got to day 4. And there was a moment where I was doing a vocal layer of the art of rehearsal coaching, and he just lost it. He just left the room, and we had a conversation, and he's just so full of life right now in terms of he's overwhelmed. There's too much going on. And at that moment, he just needed to stop the training. And that's never happened before. I've never had somebody kind of like stop. He didn't show up on day 5. It blew my mind. I'm still raw from the experience.
Wow.
But the point I want to make is it's a loss, because you can't do this kind of work half-hearted. You can't be semi-committed. You can't be like, yeah, I'll just put my toe in it and try it.
Yeah.
You're either in this or you're not in this.
Yeah.
So it really needs to be, you have to be in that place in life where this is the right time for you.
Yes.
Where you're ready for this kind of opening and vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Where you're letting somebody else tell you, what you need to work on, and you're going for it. So that's a loss. You have to have the right headspace.
Absolutely. But I mean, it's completely understandable as well, because it's about you, and it's about your vulnerability, you in front of the group, in front of yourself.
Yeah. In front of yourself.
So
yes.
Absolutely. So you really need to know exactly why you are doing what you're going to do. Yes. And have this, like very, very motivation, very clear for you, because completely. What you are saying, Laura, and stop me if I'm wrong, is that it's not an easy path.
No, there's nothing easy about this. And that's one of my pet peeves. Like when people are like, can you just give us some tips and techniques? What's the silver bullet? How's the best way to not rehearse? I don't have much time. Let me tell you, that's some BS. What's your way around learning how to ski? Is there a tip and technique to get out down the mountain? No.
You have to go there.
You start with the small slopes and then you get the big ones. No, I'm sorry. So there is no silver bullet. And that's why it's even more important to be so on board with this. Like, yeah, I'm ready. It's that seed again. Like the seed is open. The sprout is coming out and you're like, I'm ready for more sunlight. You're either in that phase or you're back in the seed.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is the truth. And because sometimes we just say, yeah, but give me just one piece. But the problem is that giving you this one piece, it's not going to make you a remarkable speaker, because you have to do the journey. You have to go through the journey as well.
You go through the journey.
It's also about you. It's a personal growth as well.
It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Summer, we're talking about personal growth, personal transformation, personal development. That's what this is. Yeah. And I don't want to scare people and be like, oh, you can't do anything. Of course you can. You can keep enhancing. But if you think that, watching YouTube videos and, reading blog posts is enough, it's not. So you need the embodiment, you need the experience. And that takes you where you need to be in terms of the full experience.
And Laura, I just wanted to share with you and with your audience as well a concrete example. It's happened last week, and we had the privilege to coach male leaders from a global corporation. Okay, we are talking about the global corporation.
Yes.
And it's just so amazing about, because it was about like their emotion and how they communicate with the team. Okay, I know this is super important for you. This is the only way to bring people, very, very easily. People, they will feel inspired by you. And at the beginning, they introduce yourself in a certain way, and after, after the workshop, they introduce themselves in another way. And
beautiful.
The difference, because they bring their authenticity, their emotion, vision, their dreams, and it was so much powerful. And I think that as a leader and change maker, we tend to speak about the result that we're going to produce, instead of the vision that we want to create.
Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I do master classes online in addition to my 5-day program. And one drawing that I like to draw, I don't use PowerPoint slides. I use an old-fashioned flip chart.
Yeah.
I draw a large head with a face and a very small body, like a stick figure body. Yeah. And that is the disproportion that I feel and see in how people do many things when they speak in front of audiences, right? So it's about the knowledge. It's about spending 99.9% on the preparation of your PowerPoint slides. And then, I've still got to rehearse my delivery. Like that's an afterthought. It's about fronting or pushing what you know, as opposed to what you feel and who you are.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I mean, all my radar go off. And when I'm working with the leaders and change makers that I work with, I say, where are you? I can't see you.
Yes.
Because here's the secret. When I really see you, I connect with you.
Exact.
And if I don't see you, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
I'm not remembering you. I'm not noticing you. I'm not thinking about you afterwards. That is over. And here's something else that Maya Angelou, one of my heroes and gurus, has said. She said, people do not remember what you tell them.
Yes.
They remember, she said in her beautiful voice, how you make them feel.
Absolutely.
When this is your modus operandi, when you go from a heart place instead of a head place. So if you're drawing that picture again, the heart is really big and the head is kind of average size, not the other way around. Yeah. Then you put that nail, you hit the nail on the head. Then you connect. And guess what? It's effortless. It's effortless. Yeah. Then you already know the toolbox, actually. You don't even need the toolbox. You're like, oh, I know how to do this, because it comes from such a deep and inner place. And that is so human. And that is what we need more of today. We need connection with humanity, not more disconnection from humanity.
I love that. It makes me, I want just to close my eyes, and meditate on what you're saying, because this is so true. This is absolutely so true. This is actually a good transition, because what is the biggest challenge that speakers are facing in their leadership speaking journey?
Sure. Egos. They're tripping over their own heads.
Yeah.
They're tripping. They're like, well, my ego is so big. Yeah. Ego, what does it look like? I don't need this. I've been doing this way for the past 20 years and I'm fine. That's ego. All right. That's you being completely sleeping to what is happening around you. You are not reading other people's bodies. You are not listening to yourself. If you're giving a presentation and something doesn't feel right, you're not listening to that. So you're tripping over the head. And what you need to do is you need to connect to your heart again. There's that conversation. You need to be thinking, listening to what your body's telling you, not what your intellect, your ego is telling you. So that's a really big miss. And, sometimes I have deputies of like executive directors. A deputy will call me and be like, hey, and they'll whisper when they talk. They're like, my executive director needs your help. And I'm like, okay, and I whisper back and I say, okay, what's going on? And we have this whispering conversation. Yeah. Because it's hidden, right? There's something that's like, trying to hide. And that in itself is interesting. But the interesting part is I say, okay, does your executive director want to do this work? Absolutely. And the answer is usually, no, they don't know that they need it. And then I say, goodbye, because I'm not going to work with you if you're not in it. Yeah, of course. You're not going to do the work. You're not going to take the time. You're not going to do the homework. Like, it's not going to happen. So that's a person tripping over their own ego. They don't see it. They don't know it. They don't acknowledge it. They don't ask for help. They don't ask for feedback. And this is typical for leaders, because when you get to the top, everybody kind of below you, to use very brute terms, they're too afraid to tell you anything. They're too afraid to say that, hey, you really suck, or that was an awful presentation. Like, nobody's going to tell you that. So you don't get that kind of feedback. You don't get it. So you have to go outside of yourself. You have to be like, well, who can tell me that? Who doesn't care about my position, and who can tell me that? And you need to get a coach. And you can't do it yourself.
I mean, being bold from the employees or from the team members to say something can be wrong, because that's, as you said, now people are so afraid to say the truth. And as a leaders, maybe this is something that they can do also, like just take the time to speak with your team and ask, okay, how do you think about how do you think of my communication? How do you think in the way I express things to you? How do you feel it? But as you said, it means that we need to let go the ego.
The ego
and that's
goes.
not so easy. Now, do you notice, because as you know, I really love to work with women, and do you notice this trait as well in women, like in terms of logo? Because I do have another question, more specific about women, but let's stay with the ego things. Do you notice the same things within women as well?
No, it's a different story with women. It's fascinating. For women, I think the biggest obstacle to them improving is that they don't release. They don't take up space. They're afraid to take up space. Yeah. The internal conversation that they're having is, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. And I'm not enough. Yeah. And when you have that point of view, everything you're going to do is going to shrink You're going to shrink in how you sit. When you shrink in how you sit, that shrinks your voice and it makes it small. Your presence disappears. You don't notice that you're in the room. So for the ladies out there, the work is so much about being okay with taking up more physical space. What I'd like to say is what your body does, your presence does. So again, if you're all shrunk, that's your presence. What your body does, your voice does. If you're all shrunk, so does your voice. And here's one more. What your body does, your mind does. So if you're sitting locked up in a pretzel, you know, arms crossed, legs crossed, tiny, your mind is small. Yes. And you're not letting yourself out. So the pre-work that I do with all the women leaders out there that I work with is we're doing physical work. We're expanding instead of contracting. I put on music and we're exploring what space feels like. Yeah. Because when your body's feeling this, and it's disruptive because we're not used to sitting like this as women or standing or walking around like this as women. It's very disruptive. So when that happens, that disruption happens, then I go in and then we start pulling out the bliss. We start feeling what feels good about this. Yeah. And then we go from that place and we explore all these other ways that we can use our presence, our voices, and our bodies to take up space and to say, I am enough and I belong here. I do not have imposter syndrome. You know, so there's a lot going on there for the ladies.
Actually, the opposite. And what you're saying that the man is like ego, I'm super good. Yes, I don't do any help. Woman is, I'm not good enough. I'm
too small.
I'm too small. All right. But I mean, what kind of specific, advices, or maybe your best advices do you have for people who wants to improve their leadership speaking, men and women? Huh?
Yes. Become obsessed. That's my first point of advice. Become obsessed. First, become obsessed with yourself. Like do a check-in. How am I doing in speaking in public? What's happening? Like, what am I good at? I like to do this chart in leadership speaking core. I call it unpacking the suitcase. We do it on day one. And it's like a column, like a rectangle that's vertical, and it's divided into these sections. So section 1 is the letter G. Section 2 is the letter E. Section 3 is the letter I, and the section 4, the lowest one, is section 3 is C, and then the last one is I. So what you do is you're taking stock. I is incompetence. What are you horrible at? Like, what can't you do at speaking? You write all those things down in bullet points. The C is competence. What am I okay at? What's average about what I do speaking in front of audiences? Yeah. The E is excellent. What am I like? Woo, rock and roll. Here I am. Excellent. Yeah. People ask me to do this. Like, they call on me. I'm the one, right? The G is your genius. What's your genius? And when you take stock like that, that's the first step. Like, okay, here's what I am good at and here's what I'm not good at. Then you can see it literally in black and white. And you're like, okay, well, I've got to get to work. I got a lot of I's, a lot of incompetencies. Yeah. So there's your formula. You're like, okay, that's what I need to work on. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is now you need to find your tools. Where are the tools? How do you sort this out? How do you improve? And there are a lot of resources out there that we can find. I mean, living in the 21st century is a dream. You could just, click on things and Google things and find things. So you find the people who are doing the work that you are inspired by. A good way to measure, what you need to do, who you need to work with is you want to be like them. You want to talk like them. You want, those people are walking their talk and you want to be like that too. Yes. So those are the people you begin to follow and you read their stuff, their thought leadership, their books, their YouTube videos, whatever they're doing. And you're playing with their toolbox in every speaking opportunity that you're saying yes to. You see how this works?
It's absolutely, and this is completely also linked to the way we do it. It's kind of, like the SWOT analysis, and it's not with the weaknesses, but only the strength. But it's do your SWOT analysis, like where you stand today. And before to get and do some improvement, you have to understand what is the area that needs to be.
Absolutely.
So assessment, as you're saying. So first assessment. Just one question before to continue. How is it, how do you say that? Difficult or not difficult for people to find their genius?
Oh, it's not difficult because the question you ask yourself is, when I'm speaking in public, what am I unstoppable at? Like, I'm unstoppable. I've got my superpower cape. My hair is in the wind. I don't know what time it is because I've lost track of time. That's when you know you're in your G zone, right? When that thing is happening and you've got endorphins, you've got serotonin and dopamine, your natural high is on. You're like, what do I get naturally high about? That's your G.
Yeah, and you just bring me there. Huh? So thank you very much for that, because I really feel this, like this flow and this energy.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
you said, okay, so first assessment, you assess yourself, take the time,
Yes.
honestly assess yourself. Where do you stand today? It's not
Yes.
you would like to
Nope.
stand, where you
Mm-mm. It's the
used to
present.
stand is today.
Yep.
It's the present. The second, like this is also the tool in NLP as well. Go and
Yeah.
copy in between the bracket, get inspired by
Yeah.
people
Find your
who do the
guru.
job, who
Find
know
your
the
guru
job.
or gurus
Exactly, find a guru. Then find the situation where you will practice. I mean,
and
your
try it out
speak.
and go and fall and get up again, fall and get up again, fall and get up again. Yes.
You know, Laura, when hearing you talking, I really have the impression that you were born with it. You really, like, you're born with it, like
I
you come
wish.
up with it. Yes. So, and I cannot see the things, like differently. It's so natural. It seems so natural with you. So can you tell us a little bit more about your own journey,
Thank you. I'm
please?
flattered by that compliment. And I wasn't born with it, but I was born with a complete obsession for dance. I'm a dancer, and I'm one of those children who, like, you turn on music and I was doing the baby version of pirouettes, it was just happening. So I sought that kind of attention. I wanted to move. I'm a born performer. That helps. And that journey of that born performance, I said yes to everything I could being on stage. But inside of that, I also did a lot of speaking, and I was a, nerd in high school.
As a child,
In high school, I went to a specialized high school in New York City called the High School for the Humanities, and I could nerd out on everything I loved: the performing arts, drama, Shakespeare. I recited Shakespeare, and it was in contests when I was in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th, all through high school. Everywhere I went, I was seeking the stage and trying to connect with people that way. And I'm also a teacher. That's in my blood as well. Okay. I come from my ancestors, my grandmother on both sides, my father, all teachers. So I wanted to teach. And I found these opportunities to do that. And I wanted to be on stage, and I found these opportunities to do that. But things got complicated, Samra. When I went to college in the United States, I became a science major. I found my way to science. So now there's like science, performance, and teaching. Those are the triad. And when I graduated, I was pursuing a career in conservation biology. That's what I did. And I brought a picture to show you.
We would love to see that.
Yeah. Very few people know this about me.
Oh, really?
That's me working with chimpanzees.
Oh, goodness. And with your cup of tea.
Actually, it was my toothbrush water. It's not a cup of tea.
Exactly, because I see that you are doing something. Okay. Oh,
I'm brushing my teeth. This.
Huh?
There we go.
Yeah.
That was my dream. I wanted to protect primates in the wild. So I was working in the Congo Republic doing that for a long time, and did everything I could to pursue that career. And now you might be asking, okay, well, where is public speaking and all this? And I'm getting to that.
Yeah.
In order to work in science, you have to have credibility. In order to have credibility, you need a lot of letters before and after your name. So all that happened.
Yeah.
Moved to Switzerland in 2009. I'd taken some time off after finishing my doctorate and raising my 2 young children. And I wanted to re-enter the workforce here. And there was just nothing. I had nothing. There was no interview, no conversation, no network. I couldn't do what I wanted to do, which was continue in my work in conservation.
Yeah.
So that's when I had the light bulb moment. I was sitting in on a conference of my colleagues speaking badly. And conservation, as all of you know, is a crisis discipline. This is something that is urgent, and you don't have the luxury of time to get it wrong, because wildlife and wild places are depending on your message working for stakeholder funding and everything else.
Yeah, that's a serious topic.
It's a very serious topic. And my colleagues were standing there in front of me bombing these talks. And I thought, no. What tools can I use to help my colleagues to make their messages matter? How can they promote conservation through effective speaking? And that's where my company was born, Communicating Environment. The rest is history.
Yeah. So you wanted really giving the tool to your colleagues.
Absolutely.
Very important.
Yes.
Right. Level up their communication and get that.
Fully. fully.
That's really, I mean, related. It's so amazing. And you see, when I work with my client to clarify their professional project, and sometimes we say, okay, just leave, like the expectation coming from the society, what's really, really true about you. And you are explaining exactly that. It came from the inside, right?
Absolutely. It's the why. It's the deep
Yeah.
why. And the why, of course, is synchronized with your G's, your geniuses.
Absolutely.
So that was performance, that was teaching, and that was conservation. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
That works. And
Feel the
that's
sense
how
of
you get aligned.
transmission.
Huh?
Yeah, but I also feel the sense of transmission, like like you see, do you feel it as well? Is it something that you're aware about it or not?
Tell me more. What do you mean by sense of
I
transmission?
think that there is a sense of transmission in the way that you want you to teach people to be better, but for them to teach other people as well to do what they have to do. You kind of, like
Sure.
you kind of pyramid, like you.
Absolutely. Oh no, it's best practice. And I love that. And that's a great point, Samra. I mean, my favorite scenario is when I'm training a leader and that leader brings that new toolbox back to the company. And that becomes the modus operandi of the company. And now everybody is speaking with authenticity and, performing as the best version of themselves every time they talk. It doesn't get better than that. That is the domino effect of this work.
But I love about that. What I love about that is that it's not about you. It's about the impact, the people around you,
it's
and the
your
way
message.
you
It's your
impact
people.
yourself, the organization, and so on. That's just
absolutely.
Yeah,
and when you're in service to that, you don't get tired. When you're in service to that, you love what you do. You don't get nervous. You get excited about the opportunity.
Yeah.
You see, you flip the whole thing. It's like a 180-degree change.
Of course. I can totally relate on that. You cannot imagine how, I'm working really hard, to be honest, but I don't really even feel it. I don't feel it at all.
Yes. You're in your G.
No, yeah, because I really love what I do, and it's about others as well. It's not about me. So thank you very much for reminding that. I have a few questions. I was thinking about the order, but I'm gonna ask you this question before the other one. Is you spoke about Maya Angelou just before, right? And here it's about inspiration. It's about being inspired by people. So could you maybe tell us more about the other hero or shiro you have as well that's inspired you?
I tell you what, this is an interesting one. My biggest hero is a version of myself who is 10 years older. We hang out every now and then, and I have a conversation with my older self.
Amazing.
And, we shoot the breeze and we talk about what's going on. And she tells me what she has done to get to where she is.
Yes.
She tells me, she makes me want to reach out and grab where she is. And that is the motivation I need to keep moving forward. And that is my biggest hero. I tell you what, it sounds a little ego trippy, but she's so close to me, yet she's 10 years away.
Yeah.
So, I'll never catch up with her. I'll never, ever be in the same place as her. I'll always be younger. I'll always be looking up to her.
Yeah.
And it always will keep me reaching.
And it's so funny, Laura. It's so funny, but I don't know, but I never told you that, huh? But this is one of the tools that we are using in coaching. We call your inner leaders. And your inner leaders, some of the people, it's them the older version of themselves, and the way they do it is kind of re-engineering, it's in because I work with IT. It's okay, this is where you are, tell me, how did you get there?
How did you get there? What was hard? What do you need to do? What do you need to think about? Like, you can ask all these questions and you get answers. That's the cool part. You can indulge, and because she's within you, or he, if you're a man and you're looking 10 years ahead, you can always be in their company. You're never alone. And there are ways to access the younger version of yourself too, but that's the hero. That's the hero.
I found it super, super powerful because it's about your vision. Okay. It's about just imagination. When you imagine, it's okay. Let's imagine. Okay. You don't have to do anything right now. Just imagine, imagine. And then you have this, and then you have these engineering things, and then you can break down all the tasks and the action to get there. So it's so powerful.
It gives you a map. Right? Because you're certain a map and you're like, okay, these are the steps I need to take to get to where you are 10 years from now. Wait for me. I'm coming.
Yes.
And she never
So
waits. She's 10 years on.
of course, because she's moving forward. She's moving forward.
Yes,
So
exactly.
I really, really recommend you to do this exercise. If it's not then, just project yourself, like project yourself
It's
and
so
then have a
healthy.
conversation with this older version.
Yeah. And check in like once a month. Have a coffee.
Absolutely. Spend some time with this amazing person, of course.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna give the opportunity to people to ask their question, but I do have other question, last question for you, Laura. I just would like you to just tell us about the project that you are working on today and the new project that are coming as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
So this is why, because I would like to, maybe for those who might be interested to learn more about your work and maybe who might be eventually interested to level up their skill with you, just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing a lot of work on myself to find my own authenticity. Like that is an endless journey. Okay. It's not something that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's for your lifetime. And I like to say that your level of speaking is completely matched and congruent with your level of personal development.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That's your ceiling. So where you are as, an awareness of yourself and in love with yourself, where you are in that continuum is where you are as a speaker. So I'm falling in love with different pieces of myself that I've neglected. I've got my dancing back because I put it on hold when I became a scientist. I'm really working on getting back into that G, and that's a big piece of my work right now, and loving every minute of it, frankly. And then there's the project of, with this authenticity, I've been asked to do a very big talk. I will say no names yet, in October, and the theme is authenticity. So I'm creating that piece of art. And this piece of art, I want to pour myself into it like I do with any project that I start, but I'm just so ready. This is so right for me to do right now. And I want to incorporate movement. I'm going to speak and move. And I've never done that before. So I'm really challenging myself to show up in my authenticity, to say this is who I am, but also, of course, to convey the message and serve my audience so they get what I'm trying to say and they can use that information themselves. I can't wait to make that happen.
And when are we gonna have more information about that? Because you're making
yes. I think the best way to keep up with what I'm doing is to get into my LinkedIn company page, not the Laura Penn page, but the Leadership Speaking School company page. I do a lot of videos. I do a lot of podcasts.
We're gonna put a link for people there, so you just need to click on that. It's going to
exactly. I have my own podcast called Leadership Speaking Radio. Like there's everything that I do is there. That's where you find out what's happening in my universe, and what I can teach you about that day. I got a lot on my mind. So yeah, these are projects. And one last one is, Samra, I'm recruiting for the fall cohort of Leadership Speaking Core, putting together a group for September and putting together a group for October. Another, really intense 5-day transformational extravaganza.
This is the one that you were talking about. Yeah. So it's maximum 6 people. So all right.
Yep. And it's by application. That application tells me that you're hungry.
Yes,
you
have to be hungry. Otherwise,
you gotta be hungry.
Stay on the sofa and watch Netflix.
Like, don't even bother to contact me if you're not hungry and if you're not awake.
Okay. Right. Maybe last question that I have for you. I like to, it's about vulnerability. We spoke about a lot about that. But tell us maybe something that nobody knows about you.
I think I've revealed a lot. I even showed you the chimp picture.
Yeah, but we want more. We are hungry.
You can have more. You can have more. Now I've got to just curate the answer and make it appropriate. No, I'm kidding. Look here. Something that a lot of people don't know about me is that I'm Swedish.
That's not obvious. That's true.
No. I'm Swedish American. So I'm binational, which is not rare in our part of the world. And I'm biracial. I'm half black and half white. And that has really shaped everything about who I am and in my identity. And because I don't look or sound Swedish, that's just been a source of a lot of pain, actually, in my childhood, where people are like, you don't look Swedish.
Yeah, you don't
look black. You don't look white. Not belonging anywhere, which has made me a global nomad. That is something a lot of people don't know about me, but it's also something that has made me a better leader, a better speaker, and more compassionate.
I relate on that. It's just amazing. And this is something very, very I think probably one of the main reasons why you're so compassionate and why you're looking for this authenticity. Absolutely.
Yeah, they all go together.
Absolutely. So thank you very much, Laura. It was just amazing. So all right. Anything else that you would like to add, Laura? Because we're gonna wrap up this conversation.
Yeah, sure. First of all, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your precious lunch breaks to be here. I hope you got valuable golden nuggets. Here's one more piece of advice. I like to say, if something feels right, it is right. If it doesn't feel right, it isn't right.
Yeah.
Stop, drop, and make a bold decision to change what is not right. All right. So stop what you're doing if it doesn't feel right. Drop what you're doing if it doesn't feel right. Make a bold decision, change it.
I love that.
C'est comme ça.
C'est comme ça, exactly.
C'est comme ça. All right.
Yeah, I really love that. Thank you very much, Laura. It has been a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.